This last month and a bit has been eventful, but it's been tough, and you can probably see it in the bags are starting to form underneath. I think I looked on my phone the other day and my average time asleep. I don't understand what everything else is. I just saw that. And I need to work on this. So I'm gonna try and keep this one short and sweet, but it will take as long as it takes to get the message across. So, hey YouTube, it's Christian from by Christian J Films here, and today I'm going to share with you 5 tips about communicating with clients before a shoot. Hold on, let me see if I can. It's a bit wider so you can actually see my hands. By no means are the hints and tips I'm about to share in any particular order. It's just stuff that I have picked up over time. So let's jump into the first one. When it comes to defining the process, this is where you can clearly outline the scope of the project. Whether it's videography or photography, your clients are going to ultimately want to know 3 things. What is it that you offer? How much will it cost? And how soon until I receive my goods? Now, this is where you can have your pre-consultation call, otherwise known as a discovery call. This is where your clients can ask you any questions as well as you can ask any questions about the project. Your clients are also going to want to know those 3 things. But also like how you work, if you've worked with any others, have you got any work that they can show you? Have you got any work? Where can they see samples of your work? Won't go into that tip as well about having a reel or a portfolio that's readily available, or if you've got a website or even just a social media page where you can quickly point them in the direction of stuff that you have done. That's not for today, that's going to be for another video. This is just about 5 tips about communicating to clients before a project. So let's go back into discovery call. In the discovery call, this is where you can define the scope of the project. And I know I've just repeated that, but I'm going to repeat it again just so it's embedded. Here is where you have the opportunity to ask your client what it is that they are expecting from the project. Some clients may know exactly what they want. Other clients may not have an exact idea, but they may know roughly, and others may not know entirely what they want at all. This is where you can ask your probing questions to find out what it is they essentially want. I might dip between photography and videography, but it's ultimately the same. It's still going to be the discovery call and finding out what it is that your client wants. Whether your client is photography or videography, when you are defining the scope of the project, this is where you have the opportunity to define what services you provide, any specific objectives, limitations, or exclusions from your services. Now, as an example, what this could look like if you were to break this into 3 sections, the first section being what services you provide. We will provide on-location portrait photography services for your family reunion event, capturing candid moments and group shots for up to 50 people. The next part of this will be the specific objectives, limitations, or exclusions. If we were to use videography as an example, our videography services will cover a full day or a half day of your wedding event, including ceremonies, reception, and interviews with key guests. And the last part is really about just being as specific as possible. Still sticking with videography as an example, we will shoot a 2-minute promotional video for your restaurant highlighting on the ambience, cuisine, and customer testimonials. Now, this isn't only about just managing their expectations with regards to when they are going to receive their final pictures or their footage, but this is also about finding out what it is that they need to provide to you in order for you to deliver a successful project. As an example, if you're going to be shooting a wedding, for example, this is probably the simplest thing that I could think of. One of the things that you as the photographer or the videographer absolutely must find out is the must-haves. Who are the people that need to be captured in this event? If you were to add a success marker to a project, how would you define this project as being a success? One of the things for this is to have a list of must-haves. Let's say, for example, for a wedding, yes, you'll have the bride and groom. You might have Gary, you might have Steve, you might have cousin from the States that is flying over specifically for this event that you haven't seen in years. You might have the ring bearer, you might have your neighbors, or your mum's friends, or your parents' friends, or friends or family. The list could go on, but this is where both yourself and your end client needs to define the success. Have a list of must-haves. This is what we're going to go through. These are the list of must-haves. We'll capture these people as an absolute minimum, as well as capturing X, Y, and Z. As for the managing expectations, one part of that is to discuss the list of must-haves. The other part is to discuss the timelines as to when your client is going to receive their footage or their pictures. When it comes to managing your clients' expectations as to when they are likely to receive their footage or their pictures, just be honest. If it's going to take 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or 10 weeks from the date of the event, then explain that to them in your pre-consultation call. It does help to also provide a bit more supporting information with that so that at least your client can understand why it will take as long as it takes. You can go into as much detail or as little detail as you would like. However, just providing a bit of supporting information as to why it will take as long as it does help put your client at ease. At least that's what I have found. An example of managing expectations with timelines could look like this. It will take X number of weeks to deliver your project because we want to ensure that every aspect of the photography and post-production process is meticulously executed. This timeline allows us to go through all the images that were taken on the day, perform thorough editing, and ensure that the images that were selected perfectly aligns with your vision and expectations. We believe in providing you the best possible results, and this time frame allows us to do just that. Now, there may still be instances where a client will ask for a cheeky pic or two after the event, even though you have covered the timelines in the pre-consultation call. It happens. Now, if that is the case, I would encourage you to have a genuine look at your calendar to see what is possible. If there is a few pictures you know that you can quickly edit and then send across, then see what you can do. If it might take a bit longer, then manage that expectation to say, might not be able to do this week, but I can certainly see if there's something that I could do beginning or middle or end of next week. You're not just saying, no, this is the process because we have already discussed this, but you're taking on board their requests, you're valuing their input, you're valuing them as a customer, which goes a long way, and it might land you that extra bit of business. Take a deposit. This one's a bit tricky, especially if you have had customers before and you haven't taken a deposit, and then all of a sudden you're asking your repeat customers to now pay a deposit. First things first, you're operating a business, which means you are now going to be setting aside your time for specific dates. If you're setting aside time for a specific date, that means you are no longer available for any other work that comes in. Which means if you have set your time aside for a specific day and you've turned down other work for this work here, and then that person falls through last minute and you haven't taken a deposit, you've not only lost that work here along with this pay, you've also lost any potential work that you could have had. Taking the deposit, it doesn't have to break the bank. It could be a percentage of the total, or it could be a set fee. It conveys a level of professionalism and sets clear expectations of how you run your business. Not only that, but when a client pays a deposit, it demonstrates their commitment to working with you. It reduces no-shows, and it shows that their inquiries are serious inquiries. So don't be afraid about taking the deposit. Again, it's standard business practice. It doesn't have to break the bank. It just has to make sense for you. Another is to just be honest. Whether you can do something or not, if you can't do it, but you know that you can, then tell the client. If you have no idea how to do something, then tell your client. The last thing that you want to do is overpromise and underdeliver. That only hurts your reputation, and word of mouth goes a long way. But you've also got, if your business is online, you've also got Google reviews. That review will be left, and then that review will follow you. So it's best to just be as honest as possible. I'll give you an example for myself. A client that I had, it was a successful business relationship. I just want to put that out there first. It was a success. So it was a while back, and it was one of my first corporate filming gigs. And the person who reached out to me asked if I could do, like, if I've done this before. And I said, look, I've shot events, and I showed him my portfolio for photography. I said that I've also shot tons of stuff on YouTube. And I could point him in the direction of YouTubers that I had supported before. And he was blown away by that. One of the things that he couldn't quite work out was the quality in one of the videos. Now, this is where you as a subject matter expert can begin to show your expertise in your field. As you know that when uploading to certain platforms, some of these platforms will compress your videos, which then of course reduces the quality. I had mentioned to this person that, look, we shot this in 4K. However, for the intended audience, 1080p was absolutely fine. He then had comfort in that, but then he then showed that to the end client and they said, look, Got no issues about you doing your photography because we can see the quality is there. We've got no issues there. However, the filming side of things, the quality, the end client just has a few reservations because you haven't really been able to show us your quality there. That is what they need. And I was just straight up with them. I said, look, at this moment in time, there isn't much that I can show you to prove that I can film to this quality. However, I've got no issues in being able to demonstrate that I can do it. Now, I'm not going to waste your time just to land the job, because it's not only my reputation on the line, as you're the person who is the middle person between this and the end client, it's now also your reputation on the line as well. Now, me being myself, I'm not going to then say that I can do something to tarnish my reputation as well as someone else's. So, confident that I'll be able to deliver the quality that the client requires. If there's anything that you need from me or the end client needs from me, as in if they want me to provide a list of equipment that they need for this shoot, I'll be happy to share what I have, of which they did ask for a list of the equipment, or they at least shared the equipment that they needed, of which I had that and then some and more. They then said, cool, let's do it. You know, the day went ahead, flew through, we actually had a really good time and successfully delivered the project. There's definitely some people that will say, you know, fake it till you make it. In instances that can work, but then when it's crunch time and you have to deliver, you need to be sure that you can deliver to spec on time. If you can, great. If not, then by all means, just be honest with the client. If you end up getting the job, great. If not, then at least you will have your dignity in place. You will have the respect of the client as well. And ultimately you won't end up wasting each other's time. And last but not least, have a contract. Now this, I will not go into in great detail at all because it's coming up to 1 a.m. and I am knackered. And as you saw earlier on my phone, I'm averaging around 4 hours sleep at the moment. It's just a busy period and I prefer it that way, much prefer it that way. So with that being said, contract just helps iron out all the T's. It just helps cross the T's and dot all the I's. It conveys that level of professionalism, and it just shows that you, of course, treat your business as a business. It reiterates anything that you will say in your discovery call. I'd encourage you to have at least 3 things as a bare minimum in your contract, and these would be usage rights, payment structure, and indemnification. The usage rights refers to how and where the client is allowed to use the photos or the videos you create for them. The payment structure is how and when the client will pay for your services. This will include the total cost of the project, any initial payment or the deposit, as well as any remaining payments due. This section just helps both yourself and the client understand the financial terms of the project. And lastly, indemnification is a legal safety net. It just means that if anything goes wrong or there's a legal issue related to the project, then the client agrees to protect you and any legal costs or damages. It's just a way to ensure that you both share the responsibility should something happen. So this was me sharing 5 tips on communicating with clients before a shoot. If you have found the content in this video useful, then please drop this video a like. Now, of course, there's going to be other tips that we haven't covered today. However, if you'd like to know more detail about any of the ones that we have covered, then please drop a comment below. With that said, I think I have reached the limit on how long I can keep my eyes open for today. So I will love and leave you. Until next time.